Your podcast is a powerful tool that serves your audience and your business. But how do you manage it all, bring in new listeners, and convert those listeners into customers? That's what this show is all about. Welcome to Podcasting for Educators. I'm Sarah Whitaker, classroom teacher turned podcast manager, and I'm here to help you get the most out of your show, all while making an impact on other educators. Hey there. Welcome back to Podcasting for Educators. Thank you so much for being here today. I have had several episodes where I've talked about the importance of relationships in every aspect of your life. I know that when I was a teacher, some of my greatest memories are with the team that I worked with. You know that your coworkers can really, really impact your experience at school for better or for worse. But I always loved when I worked with people who thought of our entire grade as our students, not just my class and your class. And that mindset is everything. It benefits you, it benefits your students, it benefits everybody involved. And I think this idea of working together still applies even when you own your own business and even if you're working from home. In fact, if you're working from home, you might really, really miss those collaborations with your coworkers. I know that I do. Which leads me into what I want to talk about today, which is how you can create some really amazing collaborations with your podcast. I think that because podcasting is still kind of a newer medium compared to a lot of the other ones out there, there's definitely this excitement around when you start your podcast and you might be one of the few shows that serves your unique niche, especially in the education space. And it is exciting. It's so awesome. So much so that when other people start shows who might be in a similar space as you, as podcasting continues to grow, your first reaction to that might be a little bit defensive or a little bit threatened, which is 100% natural. And I totally get it if you've ever felt that way about another podcast that's kind of similar to yours. I hesitate to even say similar to yours because I truly do think that every single person who is podcasting has a completely different show, a completely different way of creating content and getting their messages across. But I think you probably know what I'm talking about here. But what if instead of viewing other podcasts as a threat to yours, you viewed them as a way of extending the impact that you're already making? Because the truth is, first of all, that there are more than enough podcast listeners to go around. And just as a reminder, I know I've said this before, but podcast listeners listen to more than one show. It's not like, if somebody's listening to, if they have a parenting podcast that they really love, they're not just going to say, oh, I already have one parenting podcast. I don't need any other parenting podcast. It's really the opposite. When people have a topic that they want to learn more about, or if they really love a certain kind of show, they're just going to be looking for more and more resources like that, more podcasts to listen to. Secondly, you can work with other podcasters the same way that you would work with your coworkers, collaboratively to benefit everybody. And there's lots of ways to do that. So I'm just going to give you a couple ways, well, more than a couple, a few ways that you can collaborate with other podcasters, even those who are in kind of the same or similar space as you are. One really easy, quick way is to give each other a shout out on your shows. And this can be really informal. It could be just at the beginning of your episodes, just like you would recommend a product on Amazon. I mean, we do that all the time on our Instagram stories, right? We recommend our favorite bathing suit or our favorite shoes or whatever it is. So very similar thing. At the beginning of your podcast, you can just say, hey, I wanted to let you know that if you really love this podcast, I have another show that you're really going to enjoy. And then you can give a super quick description of the podcast, who it's hosted by, and where they can find it. Really easy. And each of you and another podcaster or multiple podcasters, you can team up and just give each other a shout out on your show and do that every now and then, or even if it's just for one episode. Another great way to collaborate with another podcaster is to guest on each other's podcasts. And I've done a few episodes on this specific topic of guesting, mostly on episodes 25 and 26. But the great thing about guesting on another podcast when you are also a podcaster is that you're both getting in front of a new audience of people who are already podcast listeners. So it's a really, really great natural fit. And I do have a mini course on this subject of how to become a great podcast guest, how to land interviews, and all of that good stuff that you can find at podcastingforeducators.com/guesting. And then you could do other simple shout outs like in Instagram stories, or you could share each other's podcasts in your newsletter. And that could be something that you even do once a month. And you can make it really easy for each other by doing a quick write up of a specific episode that you want to highlight. And you just exchange that copy and you plop it in your newsletter. And now you're both getting in front of some new people in a really quick and easy way. So what I want to really hit home here is that when you view other podcasts as opportunities to collaborate, it's going to get you in front of new audiences. It will bring a new perspective to your current listeners. And even if you're speaking about the same thing or similar topics, everybody delivers content differently. And like I've said before, there is more than enough people to go around. Now, I'm not one for cheesy quotes, but I do love this one. It's a proverb that goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. I'm going to leave you with that so that you can begin to think about how you could work together with other podcasters to extend your reach this year. If you have a topic that you would love for me to cover on the podcast, I would love for you to send me a message on Instagram at Podcasting for Educators and let me know so that I can add it to my list. All right, I will see you in the next episode. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. To keep this conversation going, connect with me on Instagram at Podcasting for Educators. I'm always looking for an excuse to talk about podcasting. If you're looking for support in launching, managing, or growing your podcast, check out my online course, the Podcasting for Educators Prep School, at podcastingforeducators.com/prep school. I'll see you here next time.